Well, hello everyone. My name's B. It has been a very long time coming, but today I'm here with another episode, finally, of B's Biased Babbling, and today we're taking a look at Transformers Energon Downshift. Now, anyone who knows Transformers but maybe hasn't seen Transformers Energon is probably looking at this and thinking, nah, that's Wheeljack, who the fuck is Downshift? Well, this is from the period in the early 2000s where Hasbro was determined to use every possible name that they could, apart from the proper names for the characters, just in order to save their trademark. And because within the Transformers Armada series there had already been a character called Wheeljack, who ironically design-wise was based on G1 Sideswipe, but was called Wheeljack. So then they thought, oh, maybe we can't use that name for this character. So this isn't Wheeljack, even though it looks like Wheeljack, complete with the, like the sort of grill feet and the fake chest detail. This isn't Wheeljack, this is Downshift. Although for all intents and purposes, a name is but a name, it doesn't really matter. Now, Downshift for me is an interesting character because he isn't the first Transformer that I have who is aesthetically based on a Wheeljack but is not Wheeljack, because I also have Generation Select's exhaust, who to be fair is based on G1 exhaust or Diaclone exhaust. However, this is based on the Earthrise Wheeljack toy, and I don't have that. I don't have any Wheeljack who is actually Wheeljack. I have Downshift and I have exhaust. I also used to have, I think it was Prime Dead End, I think the name was, like the sort of orange, green and yellow repaint of Transformers Prime Wheeljack, but I sold that because it didn't really fit in my collection anymore. But that's another like repaint of a Wheeljack who's not a Wheeljack. And then coming in the next couple of months, of course, we're getting a Shattered Glass Wheeljack, who is of course based on Action Master Slicer, I think, or like Dark Energon Wheeljack. So that's another one who's like looks like a Wheeljack but is not a Wheeljack, and I quite find that fun. So to the point of feeling like I don't want the Wheeljack now because it would just ruin this weird stupid theme that I have going of having Wheeljacks that aren't Wheeljacks. But anyway, enough about Wheeljacks and enough about exhaust and enough about everybody else who's not Downshift. We're talking about Downshift. Now, of course, as this is a Bees Biased Babblings video and not a Bees Bot Bonanza, there will be no scores or anything for this. Just assume that everything in this playlist is an 11 out of 10. That's the way that's just the easiest way to think about it. Even though this guy has plenty of flaws, so where do we start? Let's just see. Aesthetically, like I already alluded to, very Wheeljack looking. He has this beautiful head sculpt with wonderful, wonderful red light piping that even extends to his ears, and that is because half of his entire head is the clear plastic, but I don't mind because you don't really see that from the front. So yes, beautiful sort of like Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sort of face to him. The ears, as is typical of a Wheeljack, of course, but it's not Wheeljack, but anyway. And then we have the red and green stripes that Wheeljack always has, and this sort of light blue, it's not the windows of the car, obviously this is like a faux part, as we would say, but not even, because I say this is like light blue, but then his actual windows are red, but we'll get to that in a minute. But interesting anyway how far they go with the aesthetic callbacks, considering that this is not actually called Wheeljack, you know. And again, the feet I find quite interesting because they have the sort of front air splitter look to them, or front spoiler, whatever you would call that, that is reminiscent of, I know this isn't super accurate, but reminiscent of the sort of the G1 aesthetic of the Lancia. They homage it here, even in the toes, sort of looking like the bumper. Again, even though his bumper is on the back. I quite like that he has these shoulder parts, you know, these are the exhaust and the car mode, but you can fold them up or fold them down for whatever reason, just whatever way you like the style of it. You know, if you prefer these to be upright to give a bit more of this sort of green colour, or else fold them down as guns, up to yourself. I love the wheels, the big chunky wheels. We'll probably see that more in vehicle mode. I quite adore his like skinny little forearms for some reason, even though they don't work that well, but they're quite cute. I don't know, I just like him. And his knees are hilarious because you would think his knees are here, right? But they're not there. That's a swivel joint right there, like just a swivel, and then the only bend that we have is here. So you would either call that having no knees or having thigh knees instead of knees. So, you're not going to get any walking pose out of him even. I don't know, just because of that. That's another thing. I suppose while we're talking about posability, we might as well go into it. So, head, fully ball jointed but kind of cock blocked by his own shoulders, as is typical of toys of this time. Interestingly, ball jointed shoulder. Whoops, spoiler alert there. Ball jointed shoulder gets the whole way around. Elbow, full 90, but again, because of the shortness of it, you're not really getting the full use of that. You can do the full splits. Obviously, at a rotation there, like I said, feet can move just forward, although because of the transformation, the toes can also move a little bit either way. If that's of any benefit to anybody, I don't know. And yeah, pretty okay for the time, I would say. Because of the legs completely hampering him, he's not the best. Even by Energon standards, like Energon had quite a few toys that were a lot more posable. The ones that comes to mind, the likes of, let's say, Starscream, another deluxe class, had ball jointed hips and proper knees. The same with Sharkticon. So maybe it's a unique issue that the Autobots have, I think, because most of them, now that I think, most of them had this stupid like high knee thing, and it's purely because of the gimmick that we'll get to, that all the Autobots did, that the Decepticons did, and so that's why I think, now that I think about it, none of the Decepticons had that issue. Interesting, worth a thought anyway. Just a quick little notice of accessories, because he only really has 3. You get this little gun that looks quite like an exhaust. Quite nice with a double barrel thing going on. Interesting offset design, so that he has to hold it quite weirdly. Offset from where his actual hand is, but that's more because of the robot mode, the vehicle mode, where they plug in on vehicle mode. And the same is true for this, the actual missile launcher, which, as always, Energon has these missiles, cool, whatever. Similar sort of thing to the other one, just a bit thicker, obviously, to accommodate the gimmick. And very carefully now putting it in his hands without shooting myself. They look pretty cool as accessories go. As guns go, I like how they're the translucent red that matches the aesthetic, and of course, fun is it's coming back into style. Like I mentioned earlier, the shattered glass wheeljack that's coming out actually comes with guns that homage this, which I find quite nice. But what's interesting about this toy also is that he has quite a lot of 5mm holes in him. I can't really remember why. I think some of it is to do with, like, the 2 on the legs are where the weapons plug into in the car mode, but he also has 2 on the shoulders and then 2 on the back because of the spoiler piece, which we'll just cover quickly. His backpack has this spoiler which comes off, and as you can see, it has a 5mm peg in the middle and then 5mm ports on either side. So most of the time you just store that on his back. But then what I quite like to do is you can make a sort of a super weapon thing, by attaching them in like this, or the other way around, to make again, just different sort of aesthetic, different sort of whatever, to many people that might look stupid, and I agree, but that's half the fun of it, But then because of the way this attaches on the back, like I said, you can then have it, well, we'll need to swap on the other side. So we'll have it like this then, and then again you can plug it into his hands. But then when you plug it back into the backpack, you can have big guns shooting into the air. Whatever, you know, if that floats your boat, then fair enough, sir. But what I was alluding to was the fact that this sort of strangely then calls forward to the new wheeljack based on this toy, again the same mold. So I'll just show you with a short one. So like I say, you can hold them in his hands and then he can plug them into his legs for some War for Cybertron style action, and the same for on the shoulders. Like that, you know, so, which actually brings me on to another question that I haven't experimented with yet, but I will now that I've just thought about it. So the upcoming Shatterglass Wheeljack toy is coming with a repaint of Earthrise Fast Track. So now my thought is, how well can this toy from 2019 interact with this toy from 2004? So that actually worked a lot better than I expected. As with every Fast Track combination thing, the body piece is left over. I'm sure there's a way you can integrate that. I can just never be arsed. But I give you this, and I don't really have words, but I am massively impressed by how well this works. You know, so we have of course, the knife gauntlet thing that Fast Track turns into. His arms plugged into the legs, gives him guns, the sort of crossbow weapon that I alluded to earlier, and then Fast Track's legs attached onto the backpack. And it doesn't actually look that bad, you know. Funnily enough, the aesthetic of having the legs sort of like pointed over is quite interestingly accurate to what most Energon toys do. Those of you who already know will already know. So the likes of Energon Inferno, Rodimus, and Toolline, who we'll be talking about in a second, when they combine in their Parlance mode, the legs just go like over to make guns. So this is quite an interesting like homage. So this is like in so many layers to this. This is like a thousand layer cake. So we've got G1 Wheeljack aesthetic on a 2004 Energon toy with a 2019-2020, I can't remember when Earthrise was, I don't care, please don't at me, 2020 toy added on to it to homage a 2022 toy that isn't out yet, who calls back to this with its guns, and also with the fact that it's an Action Master, so that's like late G1. So that's a lot going on there, you know? I don't know. Whether it looks cool or not, I don't really care. I just quite like that it works, and I want to say thank God for the 5mm board system that we have had since 1980 whatever, 1985, 6 probably. I can't remember when it started, but it doesn't really matter. Because you can attach anyone's guns to anyone's hands and whatever, you know. So, yeah. So stripping them right back to just, oops. Well, let's just skip forward to some issues that this toy has, and that is by far the biggest issue, is that these feet fold forward way too easily. So 9 times out of 10 this guy will just face plant, literally, and so annoying. But anyway, other issues this toy has is, of course, unavoidably the elephant of the room, which is the kibble. Like, look at that, his entire arse is just big, you know. So he has This flap, right, is a funny one because you can have it up like this to give him like a sort of hooded look, which looks cool in itself, but then sort of gets in the way of the arms, or else like I had if you have it folded down, but it gets in the way of the legs, and because this hinge is so low, it doesn't fold flat. If this was up higher or like on a slider or something, or even if this sorry, the angles, if this part had a hinge in it, or sorry, a rotation, so you could rotate this whole thing and then fold it back, I think it would fold a lot flatter. But that's just 2004 for you. They all have this emotional baggage, which just comes with them. But to be fair, compared to a lot of Energon toys, he gets away with it quite cleanly. Like the upper body, I think really good. Like, yes, you have these like sticky out car panels, but you can see them as, because they have the little nubbins, they can be blasters or like melee weapons. You can like punch people with those or something. Like in the backpack, it's not too bad because you can fold it flat sort of on the top. It doesn't really get in the way that much. And even the legs, it's funny because if he was more posable, the legs would be more of an issue. But because he doesn't have knees, this crap doesn't get in the way. So it can't. So does that mean like two wrongs make a right? But yeah, these are just the roof panels and the doors of the car. So he has a very what would the word be? Asymmetric transformation in terms of his, like, what would the word even be for that? Like, weight distribution, so to speak. So like the entire, so what do you say, if I just fold this part over, you can see already. So the entire hood section and the roof and the doors go into his legs. And then the whole upper body is just the back part and the sort of the low floor. So you can already see, basically, if I fold his arm out, you can already see what's going to happen here. It's not a difficult transformation. And we'll get into that now. So yeah, very simple transformation. He's literally just lying down, put his feet away and shrugging his shoulders. But that's fine, that's all you need to do to be a Transformer in this day and age. That's fine. Very, very nice car. The paint on this is absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick up on it, but of course it's the same colours as it was in robot mode, but these sections were on the back of his legs, so you didn't see them, so I just waited until now to talk about it. But the green paint has like a metallic shine to it, and I'm trying to get the angle. Oh, there we go. Like a very nice, like a very deluxe kind of paint job, for this age of a toy. And even the same was true of his head sculpt, like the amount of paint there and on the chest as well. And then these parts on the legs, very beautifully done paint job on this. Some parts are missing, yes, like they could have done with a bit of silver or black in this section. But what I do quite like, which is quite rare on Transformers now, is he has painted taillights. What's his name? Downshift, sorry. Very sleek car. I quite like the fact how he has the the retro style sort of slanted windows, whatever, I don't know what the name of that is. Slanted windows, and then also has bright sort of red translucent windows, which is beautiful. And then of course we also have the spoiler, remember, so we can plug that back on. So if you want a look like that, it's an interesting aesthetic for a car because it's sort of like, it's very early 2000s but also quite retro, kind of like a muscle car, kind of like an early 2000s sort of Japanese car. It's a nice mix. I quite like it. So to me it's kind of like, I want to say like a Nissan 250Z sort of thing, but like dressed up as a 60s American muscle car almost, but then with like Jeep Cherokee grills for some reason, but whatever. The other thing I quite like about this, it's not a specific thing, it's just part of the transformation, but of course he has the doors that can open up, and there's nothing in there, like there's no interior or anything. This isn't an alternator, but it's a bloody cool look, you know, to have gull-wing doors like this. I mean, come on, even though there's no seats, just from the front and whatever, that looks freaking awesome, you know. Pop them back down. And then, like I said, we also have the weapon storage, so you can either do like a sort of, I guess would be battle mode or something. You know, like this, having them on the back, pew pew, whatever. But of course, they're supposed to be, let's see, get these the right way around, down here. To be like exhausts, like sort of hot rods, straight through exhaust, so you can imagine. There is actually quite nice, just, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it because it's white plastic, but there's a nice sort of gear detail there, reminiscent of a, you know, something like a Shelby Cobra, so that has like the engine in the front and then the exhaust just comes out and then along the side. So again, sort of like a 60s sort of vibe to that. Very interesting aesthetically. This side looks a lot better, obviously, because it's more neat, whereas that side is just like, oof. But I suppose you can do like some Mario Kart level, like shooting people behind you stuff. Whatever, you know. I suppose at this point, it would be a neat time to compare him to his newer version, sort of. So again, you can see the overall shape, the sort of wedge shape, kind of see it here, you know, like the rake, the forward rake. Obviously very different aesthetics these are going for. I don't have a G1 wheel deck, of course, so I don't have the proper Lancia car to show the sort of thing, but both different takes of the same source material, which I find very interesting. And I suppose it would also be a good time to bring in his official teammate, Tow-Line. So when I say unofficially official teammate, so in the Energon cartoon, I don't think Tow-Line was in it. I don't remember seeing him, but Downshift was there, and his friend for the series was Cliffjumper, who, yes, was called Cliffjumper, but ironically was a larger toy who looked like a dune buggy, who was bigger than the other cars. Anyway, and Bulkhead, who was a helicopter, not Bulkhead that we know from animated, but again, the names in Energon are just call them who you want, you know. But so Tow-Line was nothing to do with it in the cartoon. So, but for the toys, if anybody remembers back then, there was a lot of cross seals and stuff. So like nowadays you don't see. I don't have one near me at the minute. Oh, well, actually I do. So just as an example, we have Legacy Buzzsaw. Check out that review. Self plug. So we have like character artwork on all sides, photos of the toy, but nothing else. But back in the day, it would also have like, oh, you know, collect this other toy or something. So in Downshift's case, like I say, his sort of unofficial official pal was Tow-Line and vice versa. So they would have like, and I think they go well together aesthetically. Like they both have the clear red plastic for the weapons. Obviously, a lot of Energon Autobots had clear red plastic, which that's just aesthetically, you know, cool. But these two go even further with like the windows and stuff. I find it quite interesting though too. So like we already said, Downshift can do the gull wing door thing. Well, so can this guy, even though he's a van. Just by nature of transformation, his door's open. So that's pretty nice to see together. Obviously the size difference is hilarious between these two. You know, scale does not exist in Transformers, but anyway. So we have like, you know, you just imagine some millionaire have like, oh, I've got my Gullwing supercar, muscle car, and then also my Gullwing van, you know. It sort of looks like a camper van, but not really. I sort of want to do a video on Tow-Line. However, I feel like everything that I could possibly say about him was already covered by Geshgav at TRDQ. I'll put a link in the description to his video, which actually inspired this video, because in his video he said, in his wonderful Scottish way, he said something like, oh, I want to show you the power links of Tow-Line, but he but the box tells us to use downshift, and who the fuck has downshift? And then I instantly tweeted, was like, oh, I have downshift. I'm not one person who has downshift for some reason. Never ever seen anybody else having him, but cool, I guess. So yes, we'll get both of them transformed. Like I say, I'm not really going to talk too much about him, but because this is, I nearly want to say Getaway as well for some reason. This guy reminds me of Getaway. Do you agree? So it's about the car mode. If it was like blue and red and yellow, it would definitely be very Getaway vibes. But anyway, we're getting well away from it. Let's see what these two look like in Parlance mode. Okay, so here we have Downshift in his pants mode, and as with all Energon Parlance pants modes, looks great from the front. Oof, just the whole big, he's just, yep, hello there, just hiding everything. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is the connector, the Energon Parlance connector. It's a really cool looking piece. I think it kind of reminds me of like a door on a starship or something. But anyway, here is, like I said, his unofficial official partner, Toolline, in his shirt mode. And then we literally just boof them together like so. And then this is far from the best looking of the combinations that there is, purely because of, so it's funny, we have like Toolline giving us like massive van boobs, you know, like look at that overhang, like damn son, and then also damn that booty, you know, so very curvaceous girl, let's just say. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the way that Toolline's legs go up and over his head is quite reminiscent of some of their modulator weaponizer sort of combinations, which maybe is why I quite like them, because they give me that nostalgia hit of this childhood shit, you know. So that's the shirt and pants mode. So let's see what it looks like the other way around. And here we have Downshift's shirt mode, and I think personally this is one of my favorite like top modes. Like when he's topping, it's a good time, you know. Purely because I think something about the way the arms are just like so well balanced, and then even though yes the backpack overhangs, the way it sort of looks very like what would the word be, nearly like aerodynamic or something. And then the way that we have the red of the taillight joining in with the red of his ears and stuff. And then you get to see a lot of this translucent red. So it makes him look a lot more red heavy, which is nice because it changes the aesthetic. And of course, same connector bit, the way that it just sort of swizzles around. And I quite like how, like with some of these ones, he has molded in fists. So obviously, this section is the front of the leg, and then that section is the front of the car. So then on the inside, we have the fist, and on the outside is the wheel. So it's a very well used piece. You would say this section, all four sides have a useful function, you know, whatever you would say. And then we can, you know, and then like again, because it has the 5mm port, we can get him holding the weapons and such. So, but for anybody who didn't see Gavin's video, Toolline himself doesn't have a pants mode, but he does have this little G1 Ironhide reference station thing that has like guns on it and a little legs, so we can clamp that on for some good times. Yeah, it's not the best combination, but worth having a look at. I always think worth having a look at. So he can kind of be like a mechanical centaur, I guess. I don't know. I just love these little legs. They're so cute little leggies. Ridiculous thing. Why do I like it so much? I don't know. So I think that about wraps up our look at Energon Downshift. A very strange toy in a very strange creamy green colour. I don't know why I like this so much, because I know that objectively it's not great, but I think the whole, like, the fact that there's so many references within this that you can do with this, the fact that it's such a beautiful looking car mode, the fact that it's so well painted, the fact that it's so daft, like all of the Energon Autobots are just ridiculous. Some of them, like Hotshot, no offense Brody about posting, Energon Hotshot is objectively shite. But it was my second ever Transformer, so I have to legally love it. The same thing can't be said for Energon Inferno, who was my first ever Transformer, but is actually good. Energon Inferno is one of the best Parlance combos that you can do. I think Inferno, Downshift, and Prowl are the best of the bunch for Energon Deluxes that do the Parlance thing. But Downshift, what more can we say? He is equally beautiful, equally stupid, ridiculous thing. But I love it, you know? I just love it. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's the same as every other bot on this playlist. You know me, I don't go for the ones that are objectively, you know, masterpieces of transformation and super popular characters and everything like that. I'm not trying to be hipster, but that's just the way that I am. I like the weird ones. I like the stupid ones, you know? But anyway, that'll do us for Energon Downshift. You might notice behind me some important bots. The ugly lads on the right here, Snapdragon and Apeface, they will be the next topic for B's Bot Bonanza. So they will be getting a full review with scores, everything like that. And like the previous episode with Chrome Dome and Rewind, it'll probably be split into 2 parts because there's no way that you can do them 2 together. Plus the fact that they're triple changers, I'm now thinking to myself, I have got myself way over my head trying to do 2 triple changers in one video, but we might do part 1 and part 2. But anyway, beside them we have Legacy Jaxus and the recent lot of Monster Bots. And I want to ask you, the viewer, which set you would rather see for the next Bees Bias Babbling video. Because I originally had like a whole list that I wanted to do, but I felt more like perhaps adding a little bit of audience interaction to see who would you prefer. So it will either be Legacy Jaxus on his own with some G2 fun, G2 references. You know, I also have the likes of Sideswipe, Megatron, Laser Optimus. They might make an appearance, not a review, an appearance. And then we have Double Cross, Repugnus and Grotesque, the latest Monster Bots, plus Fangry, who will make an appearance in that video, plus the other Repugni that I have, like this boy and the other ones. So vote below, and I'll put it on Twitter. Actually, maybe vote in the comments if you want to, and I'll take them into account. But I will be putting a poll on Twitter, and if I can work it out, I'll put one here somewhere. So whether you want to see like a sort of Jaxus plus G2 guests or Monsterbots plus Monsterbot guests, you know, let me know below. So yeah, that wraps up our look at Transformers Energon Downshift, not Wheeljack, not anybody else's, Downshift. And yeah, long time coming. Sorry I've been away so long. I've been started a new job recently and it's like 11-hour days, so it is full on shit, you know, but I want to get back into this. I don't want to abandon this. And likewise, thank you to everybody who's watched the Pride video. I hope you all enjoyed that, and if you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch that. And then my last review was Legacy Buzzsaw. I think you can go back and look at that as well. So yeah, bye.